for Huru, and I have the sister on with us. You guys know her. She moderates the chat, and she also came on the show this past Sunday. Sister Lumani, Lulu, and today's
Yes.
say hello to everybody, Lumani.
Hi, everyone. It's great to be back again. This time, at least, I won't be so vexed, meaning, so hyped. You'll
Mhm.
get to know like the real me. So, yeah.
Okay. And today's topic, we're going to be discussing how feminism is anti-African spirituality, and anti just femininity. Feminine is not feminine. Lumani, go ahead and
Yes.
we'll go ahead and jump right into it.
Okay, perfect. So, first, I'll just give my background. Um, Basically, I'm a millennial, so born, 3rd of March, 1992. So, hi to all the Pisces out there. So, of course, being a millennial, I'm 27 now. We, globally, even as an African woman, we raised in this feminist world, and we are, taught that feminism is there for us to basically help us in life and to basically, help us progress in life. And this is how we're all supposed to be, especially as millennials, and even worse with Generation Z, the generation before. So what I want to, basically discuss is the opposite of that, because not only is it, anti-African spirituality, but feminism itself is basically just anti-Black woman progression.
Hmm.
And yes, and then I say that because feminism, people could add more and tell me even more from the Western perspective, but from what I know as well, it was created for the white woman. The
Right.
white woman, yes. So she basically, with Western patriarchy, to fight her man in that society and system where, it was about the man, her man having the power, and then her man basically degrading her. You see, the white culture has no harmony between man and woman. Man and woman are always in competition in the white culture, you see.
Right.
And so this is now what we've learned, especially with those in the West, not just Black Americans, but Africans who are in the West themselves find themselves having this worldview, especially with, the Prussian school system. It's then we taught this from a young age. Yet for us, our type of patriarchy, African systems, the woman has always been respected. She's always been loved, cherished, nurtured. And we see the woman as someone who works in harmony with the man. So we don't, the woman's never been abused. So there's never been this fight of man versus woman. You see, there's been a balance. And so what happens with feminism, basically, by definition, is the advocacy of women's rights. And this is what they say on the basis of the equality of sexes, right? But Africans,
No, I was gonna
continue.
say the black
Hmm.
African or black women who consider themselves feminists. All they want
Yes,
is a seat on white daddy's lap. That's all. They just want to sit
that's
on
it.
white. They're fighting. They're jockeying for position on who could if they could have a seat on white zaddy's lap. That's all.
That's it. And if not that, sometimes it's the actual the feminists are the ones with the white men the most in terms of, and then you wonder, but wait, what are you really fighting for? Is it for, white zaddy, or is it the system, or is it, there's a lot of confusion with this movement, So anyway, by definition, they say it's the advocacy of women's rights, and it's on the basis of the equality of sexes. Yet, by definition, in African spirituality, we know that the advocacy of male and female harmony is rather promoted, because in their respective roles, you see, it's sad today we have to have this definition of I'm a traditional man or I'm a traditional woman, when before that was just the norm, And today we have, because we have such an attack on, especially the global Black family, there's such an attack just on normal gender roles that, you know what's going on in the States and with everything there, where even from a young age, they're teaching the children you can choose your gender and all this confusion. So
Mm-hmm.
now African spirituality it teaches that within the roles, our respective roles as men and women, which can interchange, they are masculine and feminine energies, and there's respect for both men and women, where the relationship, there's cooperation and it's understood. All right. So, for instance, they understand that the woman must already be protected, and she must be basically nurtured for. And so when we not the feminists then say, oh, that you're saying the woman is basically like fragile and she's a child, and that's not what we're saying. We're saying that when you have, even in African culture, a lot of African culture, they have the saying that says, the woman is only the eldest child in the home. And this is not to say she is not to demean her. It's not to say she's lower than, but it's basically to say that she has to be nurtured, supported, protected from the outside elements that can attack her. I mean, we see this every day, whether it's racist attacks, especially in the States, whether it's the women who feel, they're making the YouTube videos of not feeling protected and everything. We see that even if a woman has a gun, even if she has a taser, she's still vulnerable as a woman, especially. I'm not,
Lumani,
men can be, mhm.
go ahead and finish. I wanted to answer Eula's
Go
question.
ahead. Go
Okay, so
ahead. Go ahead.
Eula says, I think feminism has several levels. Will Lumani consider gender pay gap to be feminist? I'm going to say, for white women, probably
Mm-hmm.
so. For black women, no, because white women never
No.
will never fight for black women to be on the same pay scale as them.
Yes, and then we get into that. You see, in the Western world, the sad thing is the white women, they fought for feminism first. And then with what happened is when they fought for it, they started to use the black women as their mules, the black women as their workers. Then the black woman ended up being the face of feminism, while the white woman ended up carried on being the face of femininity, even with beyond the media, because we know, they're in the media and everything. But she ended up even taking the place and the role of the feminine being, and the black woman ended up looking even more masculine, beyond the media that shows black women either as Jezebels or mammies or whatever. But this is what they did, and this further even helped the media basically degrade black women, and just destroy the black family in those roles. For instance, growing up in Africa, just give you a background, we had I remember we would have exchange like the teachers that come from Europe. And these teachers, when they come from Europe, they would tell us that you have no rights, you shouldn't listen even to your father in the home, you should stand up for yourself, as if there's just sometimes feminists, they make up fights out of thin air, like there's something to fight when everything is in harmony. So I remember telling my dad this, and back then my dad would just make a joke, and this was like in the early 2000s, and he would say feminists, back then he would say, I think it's just an argument for ugly women, really. How does your teacher look like? It was like so foreign to us as a concept. He even made a joke about it. And so we always knew the African woman to be the most feminine in the world, okay? And even to date, a lot of our societies feel that way. So we always saw the white woman, especially the European, as the one who is more masculine. She's always fighting. Why should I cook? Why should I clean? Why should I? Things that don't even matter. Yet when you're alone, before you even in the context of marriage, you're cooking, you're cleaning for yourself. So what really are you fighting? And so this is the confusion of the Western feminism. And so with them of fighting for equal pay, it's now then gone further to create chaos, where it's not just any equal pay anymore. It's anything the man says, anything he says, it's screw this patriarchy, fight this patriarchy. And then the black women now have adopted that, while the white women have basically creeped in and carried on being a feminine woman that will be just the woman everyone wants. And yet the black women are the ones making the most noise, you see. And it's just been a confusion. And I've always said, the funny thing is, the CEOs and the owners of all these companies are the ones who have these wives. They have their wives are housewives, right? and yet they're like, yeah, and especially with, you know, the Jews and the whatever culture it is. That's the funniest thing. They always want the most you know, feminine type. And the funny is, I'm not saying you can't now. This is where we get, oh, you are you supposed to work and all these things. No, I'm not saying women shouldn't have careers and they shouldn't work. I'm just saying that even in that context, you know, the role of the man and the woman is understood. There's no type of confusion, because remember, historically, with the white culture, the man and the woman have always been, you know, fighting. There's never been any cooperation. Even if you look today in, you know, in the US, they still haven't had a female president. Yet they preach that they're the most feminists and all these things. Yet in Africa, we've had a female president. The first one was in Liberia, and
Liberia,
then now, yes,
Sarah Leaf Johnson.
yes, and then now in what you call in Ethiopia. But even then, the women were, they had very great advisors, the male advisors around them, you know, in the parliament, everything. So it was never a fight. So then, you know, it's funny, they say traditional wise, they say, oh, Africa, Middle East, Asia, they abuse women. Yet we have the most women in parliament. We'll have women. I mean, there was an Ethiopian Airlines flight that went internationally. It held records for being the first flight of
It was all
women,
completely
all
women.
women, yes,
The
straight to
pilots, everything.
Brazil
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
and back. And because, you know, they were celebrating the woman, and so no one is being restricted, and yet they still return and they're still feminine and they still enjoy that feminine nature. So this is not about a woman being a housewife or a CEO. It's more than that. That's too superficial, you know. This is when we get really to this destruction that feminism causes, where there's an imbalance in society. And society has done this for them to benefit with the profits. Because remember, when you overwork the woman as well, you then have the women have no time to be the first teacher of the children. They have no time to even nurture the children. They're too stressed. And then when the woman is stressed, of course, it produces cortisol. She's in survival mode. She can't thrive. She loses the hair. She gains the weight. She's always angry because she's not being nurtured in her feminine nature, even if she has a career. This is why, you know, the man and the woman in the home are so important, because this teamwork is needed. You can never think you can raise a child by yourself, single man or single woman. It was never, we were not designed that way. I don't care these days, you know, where the people are going to argue about what about the people who are man and man, woman and woman. We're not even going there. We're just going to nature and the basics from the ground. Okay. And you know, I'll make an example. My mother herself, she's a very successful businesswoman, but her whole life, beyond her degrees and everything, she just dedicated to raising us as her five children. And she stayed in the home, but what she did is she was able to have the home business. So she taught us from the home, you know, because she does have a background in being a teacher and so forth. We were homeschooled for a first few years, and then we would go off to school. But there was still that teaching in the home. Whereas when my father, he would be the one who was mostly out because he ran like bigger business. And then, you know, later on they became partners there. But she was there to give her support and everything. And I remember, you know, one of the days she was teaching me about the male ego. And she was saying, you know, it has to be respected for, you know, harmony in the home.
Hold on, stop the
This is
show.
nothing.
Real quick.
Okay.
Hey Yoda Bay, you're more than welcome to come on. Hey Yoda Bay, you're more than welcome to
Mm-hmm.
come back. Hey Yoda Bay, here's my email. The statement by Yoda Bay is, let me read it. That
Okay.
you do not have intelligent women on that can clearly explain to you why so many black women are seemingly feminist. You only bring females on that regurgitate your point of view. Yoda Bay, if you're a
Oh.
black feminist, woman, you are more than welcome to come on. Send me email.
Yeah, let them come on.
Also, guys, make sure you hit that like button. We have 150 people watching. Please hit that like button as you come to the chat room. Again, today's topic is that feminism is not it's not African. There we go. It's not African. Feminism is
Yes,
not African.
yes,
Go.
yes. Um, yes. So basically, as I was saying, So with my mother, she basically, besides being in the home, she once was telling me about, how with the male ego, in the home when you are married and everything, for you to be able, even just, you know, being mother, father in the home, for you to be able to bring harmony and happiness in the home. Because at the end of the day, we are all here as well to create families and legacies. I'm not talking about the ones who just say, they want to be solo for life and all that. So beyond our careers, this is what we live for. So beyond, she was just teaching me that with the male ego, why it must be respected is that this is obviously now with a good male who has a good character and so forth, is because it brings the best out of the home. An example is, my mother would always say to my father, I think it's a good idea, honey, we should invest in this property and we should invest in this shopping center. My dad would always say, "Oh, it's too expensive right now." He'd always say it's just too expensive. But every day she would keep just repeating it so that it would, he would eventually consider it. She wouldn't fight what he's saying. She wouldn't. And then, eventually he came back and he surprised my mom. And he said, because eventually the business profits eventually went to buying that shopping center. It was a small shopping center. And so he surprised my mom with that. And she was happy, but it wasn't even for herself. It was beyond herself. She was thinking of the legacy of her children, us, and the home and the harmony in the home, and even him as a man. So you see, in marriage, you don't have this thing of the competition, like, what about my career? How can I only be? You see, the Western world, it teaches you that I can't just be defined as his wife. And it's like, well, you are now his wife. You are more than that. But why must you fight that you can't only be defined as his wife? Because you, in the actual marriage as a union, becoming one, are now a team together. You see, so Western culture teaches us to cut in half. Everything is in half, it's separate. You do you, I do me. And then we wonder why even the divorce rates are so high. Because you see, it's like, do we think when we, even with our mothers, our fathers that we have, do you ever think that you separate from them? Unless, of course, there was some issues, emotional issues, that's another story. But it's the most natural relationship to have where you think the first person you may call is mom. Oh, guess what? Good news. This is what happened to me. And she's happy for you. Unless you have those, that's why I said this is now a functional relationship. I'm not talking about dysfunctional mothers or fathers, you see. So, and then when that happened and he bought that shopping center, he went to tell everybody. And instead of, she didn't say, oh, he has that shopping center and all this property because of me. No, she just, let him shine. And she smiled because at the end of the day, she knew that she influenced him in a good way, and it would speak for itself. That's why they always say that, when there's a good woman, there's a good wife, there is no way that the man can not be successful, because there's that good support, that good influence, no matter what she does with her life. And this is not about her being at the bottom or her, not having respect. These are the things that the Western society creates in the female mind. And then it then creates this chaos, and then they're fighting amongst themselves for no reason at all. If you look at a lot of the people online, the reason, as a millennial myself, why I can't even follow people who are my age is because, if it's not about the general makeup and gossip, it's about fighting things that don't even exist. And then it'll end online with your discussions. And then you leave stressed for no reason at all when things could just be simple, you see. So this is basically, what I'll have to say. Is anybody is
Real
someone
quick,
coming
Lumani,
on to it?
what I'm starting to notice now too, because I'm guessing
Mm-hmm.
the actual number of Black African feminists who identify as that, who are successful and really made an impact, is very slim. That now they're
Mm.
going around, and if you were a Black woman or African woman who was the same difference, who was successful, they'll just say that you must have been a feminist. So, like, you'll hear them say
Oh.
Queen Nani of Jamaica was a feminist. All these successful
Yeah, that
feminists
is, it's
make this
not
stuff
even.
incredible. Like, who else? Let's see. There was Queen Nanny. I've heard Ida B.
Oh yes.
Wells. It's like, where did Ida B.
Oh
Wells
no.
call herself a feminist? So it's like, so what they're doing, they're starting to attach this term feminist to successful women to make them seem more credible. What are your
Uh,
thoughts on that?
mhm. Oh, okay. I just think that is such a fallacy because, first of all, we look at one of the, I'm not sure of her name now, but one of the successful women in Nigeria. She was actually one of the richest black women in the
Yeah,
world.
Rich
I
and
don't,
yeah.
I for,
For,
yeah, yeah. So,
she, for,
and
I'll get her name. Yeah, I know you're talking about. Yeah.
yeah, so the funny thing, she once was quoted, they said, okay, now that you have all these billions, and mind you, this is in the world, they asked her, so does your husband then,
Yeah, no, she
cook,
said she
or
still
is
cooks. She
he?
said she still cooks for him and everything.
Yes.
I know
And
the
she said,
feminists were mad. I
no.
know the feminists were hot.
Exactly. And then she said, no, just because I have my money and all these, and I'm wealthy does not mean I'm no longer a woman. I still enjoy these things, you see, because that's what feminists do. They make it as though, when you're cooking and cleaning, you're this mule, you're a maid. You know all the words they use, the pick me, the mule, the mammy, all these crazy words and jargon online. And yet they forget that when you even on your own, before you even get married, whatever you're doing in life, or if you're still at home, you are doing that for yourself. Okay, and you may be doing that, especially if you perhaps African like me. Most of us Africans, we learn from a young age to cook from our mothers. I was doing that from age 12 because she was preparing me for my home. So when I was doing that, she's teaching me this is how you cook, you everything, all these meals. You serve your dad first, then your brothers, then me as your mom, and then you eat yourself when everyone is served. These things are taught in the home. And what does that do? As my mother said, there's the what keeps a marriage together as well is when there's the woman's touch. When your children and your husband and they're eating from your hand, that's powerful and within itself because it's so much femininity in the home. Everybody's happy, and there's so much harmony. And this gets into African spirituality because they have a thing of, when you are fighting with your husband and it's maybe not going well, they just say to the woman, have a teaspoon of honey. Why does not because the honey is only sweet, but it just makes you close your mouth for a bit and think. It's like a sort of meditation. And then you think, is this really worth it, me just making a noise because he's 10 minutes late and usually he's back home by 6 p.m. You see, and then you realize, what am I really, going crazy about? Because, sometimes we all have bad days and we all just, sometimes not in a good mood. So, my mom used to tell me, every time count up to 3 and then breathe and think about how the other person would feel when you're responding, and this is especially when you're dealing with someone of a sound mind, you see. So it doesn't help, everybody's yelling and, as we say in the home, it brings bad spirits, it even chases away, we say, the angels. There's a lot of harmony they like. And that's just the point. So the feminists do that, and they'll then say, oh, you're just a maid and this is.
We have Miss Ayota on. Ayota.
Okay, hi.
Ayota. Hello. Hello. Ayota, you muted you. Okay, you're unmuted. We can't hear you. Hello. All right, go ahead, Lumani. I guess she'll figure it out. Go ahead,
Oh,
Lumani.
she's not on.
Well, she's on, but
Oh,
you can
okay.
hear her. Go ahead.
Maybe she's muted. Does she?
Ayota,
Okay. Well, anyway.
we can't hear you. Virtue Gray says feminism is a Western idea that instigates unhealthy rivalry between men and women, especially married couple. It is un-African.
Absolutely, absolutely. And let me tell you, for us for so long, even today, I know Dynast, when you especially travel around Africa, um, our societies, especially when you go to the outskirts, not even in the cities, but even in the cities, it's still very traditional
Right.
because the majority are still traditional. So the man even thinks, well, if you want to have this feminism and you want to just cause fights and chaos for no
Hold,
reason.
hold on
You
one
know,
second. Hey,
is
Yoda.
she on?
She's on, but we can't hear you. We can't hear you. All right, go ahead, Lumani. We'll.
Oh, okay. So, for instance, my own brothers, they say to me, you know, right now one is studying in London, the other's in Qatar, and then the other one is in the States. They're just studying and coming back for the business. And so they always say, if I can't find my wife, like either, in the cities or whatever, it's fine. I always have a choice with the woman in the village. And the reason they say that is because, as you know, the more like city life is, the more the mind also gets encapsulated
So
by
let me
the Western.
and you'll have so-called feminists say, well, your brothers just want a docile woman because the women in the village they docile, they, they
Yeah, that's
can't
another
because
thing.
they can't handle a strong. They want one of them docile feminine. I'm sorry, one of them docile women in the village. That's what they will say. That's what they told.
That is true. That in because you see, why are you describing yourself as an animal that you can't be handled? You need to be handled like a dog on a chain. You're a woman. I don't understand what this thing is of you must describe yourself like this, like you need to be handled. Because the other thing, you see, it's been so ingrained that strong, tough woman, it means a woman who's what you call just unruly, obnoxious, and you have to be loud and just overbearing. And that's not what that is. You see, when you also keep repeating this thing of strong woman, strong woman, strong woman, you are taking away so much of your femininity. You're fragile. It means that
Just think. Do you want to come on? Just think. Just think. I'm gonna send you the link. If you want to come on, just think. Here's the email.
yes.
Send me an email, just think, and I'll send you the link. Hey Yoda, your Boost Mobile Metro PCS hotspot is not working. We can't hear you. So just do me a favor, Yoda. I'm gonna remove you from the stream. Well, I'm gonna remove you from the stream. Just send me a message, a private chat saying once you get your volume or sound working because we can't hear you.
So what's funny is you have a lot of these women in Europe. I have a bit of accent today because of I spent a bit of time in London. So my dad, we would travel with him a lot, and he had a contract in England for about 6 years. And I just remember in my early developments, even when you think about it, the woman would always say, my dad would come back with these stories, and he'd sit on the table and he'd say, as my mom was preparing dinner and everything, he'd say, these women, they come here, they're telling me, even, and we discuss, at work and everything, that, I have it all. I'm a CEO, I have the car, I have, the home or the penthouse or anything. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's amazing. But they say, but the only thing missing is a man. And you see, we're not saying that that's bad. A woman mustn't have all that. But what we're saying is that
Hey
essentially
Yoda,
we
hey
work.
Yoda, hey Yoda,
But
hey Yoda, you there? All right, go ahead, Yoda, go ahead.
oh, she's here.
Hey Yoda, go ahead. Hey Yoda. Okay, we'll just leave it alone. All right, go ahead and continue.
Oh, it's not working.
It's not working. Just go ahead.
Oh,
But guys,
okay.
we have 200 people watching. Somebody in the chat room says she needs a man to fix her internet. Hey guys, somebody in the guys, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit that like button. Okay, we have 212 people watching. Please hit that like button. All right, go ahead, Lumani.
Yes, please like the video. Anyway, so it doesn't mean this. What it means is, you see, women have some of the women who didn't do that, they take on so much aggression, you see. And then when they take on the aggression, oh, is someone on?
No, you go ahead. It's just me and you.
Oh, okay. And when they take on the aggression, they then become that masculine energy that they feel that now, they basically are replacing. So I know we it's called, with people who know chakras, it's called the sacral chakras. If people like the sacral chakra, basically with women especially, and men, it's in men, it deals with feminine energy. So you have these women who, some of them, they'll do everything they can, they'll be, the makeup, the outfits, but then they wonder why they still can't attract a proper, like, masculine energy. And then you have the ones who, they are feminine as well, but they don't have to try so hard, because naturally the sacral chakra energy and the femininity in them is already fully developed. And that is because within her elements, she's not trying to fight something, or to be something she's not. And I'm not saying as all women we are all going to act the same, because then you get the fight of, well, some women are just more masculine than others. And no, that's not what I'm, even saying. At the end of the day, when you women, they are just as you. And when you're born as a man, there are certain things that come naturally to you. And this is what the Western world is fighting, you see. And
All right, hold, one second. Just think, is that you? Just think. Hello. Just think. Hello. I don't know what it is. Like I really want one of you.
I can't hear anything. Let me see.
Okay, just
oh,
think
someone's on
you're a
mute.
man. Hold on,
Setting.
you're a man. Oh no.
Oh, okay.
I do not want any male feminists on here. I want the ladies to come on here. Ain't no male feminists coming on here. All right, go ahead.
Oh, he was a male feminist? Was he a
Well,
male
he was coming on here
feminist,
to.
or?
Yeah, it was a male. Yeah. I don't. I mean, it's up to you,
Um,
Lumani. Do you want to speak to a male feminist?
I don't mind. I mean, I'm free. It's up to you. You decide. It's your
I
show.
mean,
So,
I don't want to hear. I mean, maybe later. I want to get the women on here.
okay.
I don't want to do. I don't
Okay.
do male feminists. I don't. All right, go ahead, Lumani.
Oh, that is also one thing I noticed. Maybe you can answer for me and educate me about this, with the so many male feminists, especially, even in the West. Is it the conditioning as well, or do they think they'll maybe get more women, or
I think it's they'll think
why
they'll
is it
get
like
more
this?
women. I think it is. I think because they think they'll get more women, but not I. I'm not a male feminist. Not I. Yeah.
Okay.
Call yourself a male feminist. Like, what is that? What is that?
Mm.
Yeah, it's not about getting more women.
It's an oxymoron, it
I
sounds to
don't know.
me. It doesn't, I don't understand. But
Okay, just think. Well, hold on. Let them on. Let them on. Just think. Just think. Go ahead. Just think. Go ahead.
Yeah, can y'all hear me?
We hear you. Go ahead.
yes.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's not really about getting more women or anything like that. I just simply look at, how African women, and maybe I'm coming from a Nigerian standpoint, I feel like how women are treated in Nigeria is horrible. And me, I come from a mom who was a business owner, who was a hard worker. My grandmother owned like one of the largest farms in eastern Nigeria. So that really tremendously had a huge impact on my life and made me the kind of person I am. My dad was also a hard worker as well. So I come from a household where they were able to raise four of us, me including my sisters, worked at the same time, and they were able to still have a huge impact on my life. So when I look at feminism, I just look at it from a point of, not just relegating women to the house. I feel like a woman that's out there in the world adding value to society is going to have a lot
Okay,
to
this is.
add to her
Okay.
kids' life. You
I'm gonna
see what
ask.
I'm saying? So it's not really like,
Did
Just think real quick. Let me answer this for you.
yeah,
So,
what's up?
so you have feminism and you have
Uh-huh.
woman empowerment.
Okay,
It's
so
yes.
maybe
Those are two.
maybe that's
So
another thing. I need to find what feminism is.
yes. So
You
you
know,
see, if you did listen before, I made an example that, if Africa actually has the most women in parliament in the world. This would be from in Rwanda. they have about 78 or so representation in parliament, and this is a world record. Earlier, I did make examples even of the Ethiopian Airlines plane that was fully women, from pilots to the crew, because they were celebrating women and what they could do. So this in itself has nothing to do with a woman being in the house or a housewife. That essentially is her choice. This is feminism actually does not even fight for women empowerment as they say they do. It's a facade. So this is what we are talking about, which is why we're saying it's anti-African, it's anti-African spirituality, which
I
has
don't
been
agree with
proven.
that. I don't think it's I don't think it's anti-African. In fact, as an Igbo person, most Nigerians know about the Aba Women's Riot, right? So let me give you a little bit of history about my culture. Before white people came with Christianity and before the Arabs came all through Africa raiding, um, indigenous Igbo culture, women had a lot of rights. Women had their own groups, they had their own guilds. Whenever the Europeans even arrived to what you call Igbo land and they wanted to trade among the people, they actually started trading with Igbo women first, right? So, um, and then on top of that, if you want to talk about, and then on top of that, they were still able to, do their work in the market, do their work in the farm, and still able to take care of children, right? So
Okay, yes.
and then we could even talk about in Cameroon, the Bamileke in Cameroon, they had a similar type of a culture where women were known to grow their own crops, were known to trade as well, and they were able to take care of their children. So the idea that you're saying that, that's what I'm saying. When you say that it's an African, it's not it's a it's like this idea of feminism is a Western thing. I kind of disagree with it because whenever Westerners came to West Africa, they taught us a form of Christianity that actually severely limited women, telling women to learn how to sew clothes and to do all these little menial tasks, and kind of took them out of the political sphere, took them out of the economic sphere, where things right now are, a lot male dominated again. I don't come from a dad that was a stay-at-home dad. I come from a dad that owns many businesses, has a lot of land. So I was seeing it from both sides. So this idea that women are just this, or being feminine means this, I don't think like in the 1950s, feminism didn't just come in. Like there was no feminism. It was strictly women stay at home and men go out and work. And that's a very Western thing. Indigenous African culture is actually more egalitarian, where women are contributing in the society and contributing at home. If you know anything about a lot of indigenous African cultures, you also know that once men reach a certain age, they aren't just going to be kept at home. They join these guilds and these age grade systems where they are taught by men how to, I don't know, do different things or contribute in their own way into society. So again,
Hold on one second. Hold on one second.
Okay.
it's a more egalitarian society as opposed to it being like
Hey Yoda,
patriarchal.
Yoda, are you
That's
eating
my
corn
only
chips?
thing.
Hey Yoda, are you eating corn chips? Hey Yoda,
No, that's this. Yeah, something is loud, and I
hey
can't
Yoda,
even
are you
hear
eating corn
him.
chips?
Can you get him
I
off?
am
It's
not
so loud.
trolling.
Okay, hold on. Okay,
Yeah, it's kind
Please,
of
it's
loud.
too loud.
hold on. Just think. Okay, so just understand.
No
Feminism,
problem.
Okay, let me.
feminism is
And
a
maybe that's what I need to know. I need to know what it
just think.
means.
Okay,
What
feminism.
Okay,
y'all
so
refer to as
first.
Okay, just
feminism.
let me. I'll break it down. I'm gonna pass to Miss Lumani. Feminism
Yeah.
is a Western concept that was implemented to benefit white women. And what has happened is white
That's
women
it.
have put a battery in black women's backs, and they are now the cannon fodder for the most part for white women's rights. Feminism
Yes.
is
So let
not in
me.
place to benefit black women. Period. That concept,
Yes.
that word. Period.
Thank you. So
So
just
how does it play
is
out? How does
someone
it play out in?
is someone eating? There's someone in my
Diamond, can
ears.
you
I
hear
cannot.
me?
Hey
Can you
Yoda,
mind
yeah,
if
we can
they?
hear you,
I
Yoda,
think
but
she's like messing with her phone or
you
something.
gotta put down
No,
the
Can
corn.
you?
it's
Can
not my phone. I got my mic working.
Okay, go ahead, Yoda. Go ahead.
My mic.
Go ahead.
Oh,
Yes,
yes.
Yoda, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was waiting for you to give me an opportunity to speak. Diamonds, I love watching you. Um, but the thing is, it just seems like you just have this strong. You really throw this feminist word around. It's really insulting to black women who are career oriented. You do
What does
realize
feminism
there
have to
are
do with
many
being career
variables.
or what does feminism have to
There are
be do
many
with being career
variables.
oriented?
I don't believe that black women are feminist. They are forced to be in certain situations. The black American female is forced to be in a situation where she has to provide for herself because her man is under attack. Her
Okay,
man is highly imprisoned. He is
okay,
not available to her. The
okay,
ratios are off in America. There
okay.
are many women to one male in America. There are a list of variables that have marginalized black women and made them seem as though they're feminists. But in fact, we're just in survival mode. That's what's going on.
Are you a feminist?
Do you think Cynthia G is a feminist?
I have no
How about to answer the
Here
question
we go.
right
Here we
now?
go. The Cynthia G identifies as a feminist. Number one.
She
I've
does.
never. I don't know. I've never heard her
I'm
identify
asking.
as a feminist.
I'm just gonna. I'm gonna help you get to that answer. Do you think that Cynthia G is a feminist?
I've never heard her identify as a feminist. So as of right now, I'm going to say no.
I know, but just from all the perspectives that she shared on various subject matters, do
Right.
you think that she's a feminist?
If she has not identified as one, the answer is no. And the reason why I say that
See,
again,
I
you
mean,
have. Let me finish it. The reason why I say that is because you have black feminist women who will say Harriet Tubman was a feminist just because she was, she exerted strength. But Harriet Tubman never identified as a feminist. So I'm not going to say Cynthia G is a feminist.
did the term feminist exist at that time?
It doesn't. No, it didn't, and that's the problem. It didn't. So I don't know why people are trying to. You have these feminist groups who trying to tell me Harriet Tubman is a feminist. So again, is Cynthia G a feminist? Until I hear Cynthia G say I am a feminist, I'm gonna say no.
I mean, you have the definition for feminist in your mind. So based off your own definition and how you've heard her present many
That's
times.
what
The
I'm
reason why I'm going to say
saying.
that, I'll fast forward because
What does it
you don't
actually
want to answer
mean?
what I'm
What's the
Okay,
saying.
yeah, okay,
definition?
okay.
How do you define feminism?
Okay,
Because to
let me.
me, it's just upliftment of
Feminism.
Exactly. I'm just
women,
about to
giving
exactly.
women rights. That's all it means to me.
No.
It's
I want to
actually
hear from
not.
Dinus. What's your definition of a feminist, Dinus?
A definition of a feminist is somebody that wants is jockeying for position under white supremacy to sit on white daddy's lap to get closer to white
That's
daddy's
really
resource.
sad. And you know
That's
what?
the
You basically are you have a wonderful platform that you can transform many obstacles that we face. But what you're doing is weaponizing. This platform is weaponized, is becoming a weapon, and we are really supposed to act in unity. We're not supposed to be, putting down black men or putting down black women. The
I'm
situations
not
that
putting
we're
down black
in
women.
are
I'm not putting
orchestrated,
down black
but
women.
the situation that we are in as black people, and I'm talking about specifically black people in America, because even though African women are able to still maintain their femininity, you don't think black women don't want to come home and cook? You don't think black women want to
Who said
enjoy
that?
their children?
Who said that? Who said that?
I'm just saying, you're saying that black women aren't as feminine as they used to be in the past.
No,
Okay.
no one
Who
said
said
that,
that?
hun.
Who
No one
said
said
that? I
that.
didn't say all
Well,
black
well,
women.
listen. I'm not talking about what's going on just now in this episode. I've watched many of your episodes, and that's the message that's come across, that we're not feminine, we're too loud, we don't know our roles. Black women, we know our roles. We know our roles, but do the men know their roles? The fact is that a high percentage of black men in America are not
Hello?
Hello?
men
Is
are
she here?
the pickings are very slim for black American women.
So what does that have to do with feminism?
Um,
Any
uh,
nation to date outside of their race.
Okay.
um,
We don't
we
go marry African women.
I think there's one point that she brought up roles,
10 minutes.
right? So, oh, sorry.
Okay, so Dinus, can I
Go ahead,
talk
Lumani.
or should
Yeah, go ahead.
okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, no one is insulting, any woman. If you notice from the beginning, we're just talking about the general concept itself and how it destroys all Black women worldwide. And also, just to answer the Nigerian man who started talking, from an East African perspective, of course, I
Yeah.
can't speak for West Africans, okay? But even in every African from East or, even the Southern regions, we do have women who basically they do work on the farm because that is related to the food production, right? And then she's getting organic fruits and vegetables for the home to cook. And that in no way has anything to do with her being with feminism. We've always had balance. This was my argument in the beginning, harmony. That doesn't mean that you took like what you said, oh, she can't have a career, she can't do this. If you notice, I did tell you that my mother was a business owner, but she just decided to make sure she was at home whilst owning that business to raise us. And second of all, in terms of Western patriarchy is basically teaches the man and the woman to fight. So it teaches that the man must have an abusive relationship towards the woman. But African patriarchy teaches harmony. We've never had ways where the man and the woman are always fighting until the Western people came. And the thing is, what I want to say is, in terms of with land and the child and so forth, do you know that in many African cultures, like in mine, the child actually gets the name of the mother in the spiritual world, like meaning, when you do a lot of prayers and spiritual prayers, your mother's maternal side is very important. But in the physical world, the father is the authority, and so the child gets the name of the father in the physical world. So again, that shows the cooperation. That doesn't show that the man is abusing the woman, but it actually shows that he's leading and he's able to actually bring the best out of her with what she wants to do, not this fight. Because you say you saw how women, I don't know, were treated in your home country. I don't know if you're in your home country. I'm based in Rwanda, so I don't know if you're
Yeah.
still there. But I am in Africa, and in fact, next week I'm going to Kenya, and then after that, I've been to Mali, and I've been to my next trip soon should be to Nigeria. I hope to go to Abuja. I heard a lot of good things, but again, I travel around Africa all the time, and not only am I a historian, but this has been our history. We've never had any type of those clashes the
When
way the
I,
Western world perceives
I
it. So I just want to
mm,
know if, just my last point, is this when you say you see the woman, being abused and this African man doing this, where was
yeah.
this? And how do you
Oh
feel
gosh, in
feminism
Nigeria,
can
women are
help
treated
you?
like shit. They're treated horribly in Nigeria. Are you
Really?
serious? Oh my God, yeah.
That's
But they're
Horribly.
not
No, no, no,
feminists
no.
though.
It's bad.
Really?
It's bad. No, no, no. Let's be honest, Dinah. Well, let me
all
not say all. Let me not say
okay.
all. I'm not
Point.
gonna say all,
My point.
but a lot. It's really bad. It's really bad. I mean, in Nigeria,
Really?
the in Nigeria, my bad, sorry. In Nigeria, they'll justify abusing women. It's very hard
Really?
for women to really get any kind of political positions in Nigeria. It's really hard even to rent property in Nigeria. For a woman to rent property, it's like she has to go get her dad or some kind of male figure to co-sign for her, even if she works for a bank or something like that. I mean, I'm not saying like women should be out
Dinus, I
here
want to ask you a question.
dominating anybody. I'm also
Let me
not
ask you.
saying that men should be.
I told you the definition. A feminist is somebody that's trying to position herself on get a better position on white daddy's lap. That's what a feminist is.
Good enough. I
Okay.
want you to
Oh,
That would be
you're
like that's like a
escaping
bed
away
wench. What
from
you're talking
what is
about
the
is more of
definition
a
of a
bed
feminist,
wench.
And then you know what? You got a point.
um,
And,
That is that
and
is
a lot of
you're
the
talking
people,
about a bed wench. Now
a
I
lot of
don't like that. That's different from to me. Feminism is not being a bed wench, trying to be like trying to separate yourself from white, trying to separate yourself from blackness and get close to whiteness or something like that. That's
You
that's
know,
being a bed wench. I wouldn't call that
it's
feminism per se.
well,
I
it's
do
funny.
agree though that
Okay.
there's I would agree though that there are some, and I've talked to some women who classify themselves as feminists, and they do take it further than where I feel like it should go, talking about they're more superior than men, and they should eliminate or eradicate all men from the earth. This kind of talk is like, okay, you're doing a lot. But as far as women, because I, and again, maybe I'm just coming from a Nigerian perspective. I think how, maybe that's where I'm coming from a West African perspective. I feel like it's really bad, man. Like when I go home and I
You
see
know,
how women are treated in Nigeria, I'm like, man, this is not healthy.
my
Come
dear,
on.
you know, I'm not what I have witnessed. Okay, my cousin is married to a man who is West African. He's Ghanaian
Yeah.
Nigerian, and he's the most gentleman I've ever met. He's
Not
a
all.
gentleman. He's
Not all.
very, very amazing. And you know,
Yeah.
if I must say so myself. And the thing is, you know, I may not know, like you say, you are a Nigerian man, but from what I see, if you actually see, you know, beyond the controversy in South Africa, the other
Yeah.
reason the clashes is because the women, South African women, are actually wanting the masculinity and the Nigerian men as
Yeah.
well, because
Yeah.
they know
Yeah.
how to be able to
Facts.
provide, protect, you know. So
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
never
Yeah.
really, I can't say I've ever seen that. You know, the funny thing,
Wow.
the
This is
black man
interesting.
worldwide, the black man worldwide is always the face of this crazy tyrant abuse and, you know, everything the white man says. But the funny thing, it's mostly when you listen to how what happens to these women with white men. They get killed, they get stabbed, you know, they get racially degraded. And then you hear of even with the Arabs, you know, you're talking like it's Saudi Arabia, you know, there's a reason why in Africa we don't, even if we don't allow homosexuality, but we don't
Yeah.
kill. We will just arrest you and we'll say this is not allowed in our society. But we don't go and chop your head off, you know, like Arabs, you know. So the thing is, we've always been balanced people, and that's the argument here. This is what the foreign cultures come in and they tell us, you know, you are not balanced people, yet we were the first. We created this thing, and then now, you know, they create
But
this
I
mess.
think, but what I'm saying right now is after, like you said, they brought this mess to us. They created a disbalanced society, right? So now we're not in balance. So what I'm saying is that we need to become balanced. I'm speaking for egalitarianism. I'm not somebody who's
But
for matriarchy. I'm not somebody who's for patriarchy. I'm for somebody who
hold on,
makes.
let me
Oh,
interject.
wow, Joe,
Okay. Hold on, let me interject. Okay, guys, number one, this guy does not speak on behalf of Nigerians. Period. This is his personal experience. I want to put that on record right now. All right, I'm gonna unmute them, but this for him to say that he's speaking on behalf of Nigerians, that is a damn lie. I'm gonna tell you right now. So I had to get that on record, you guys. But go ahead.
Okay,
Go
okay, I
ahead.
guess I'm speaking on my personal experience or whatever, but go to Nigeria and see if women can actually rent an apartment, see if women can actually buy cars by themselves.
Stop the show. Stop the show. Stop the show.
I'm just telling.
Oh no, hold on. Virtue Grace, who's in Nigeria right now, Nigerian woman. Can you rent an apartment as a woman, Virtue Grace? Hit yes or no in the chat room. If you're a Nigerian woman who's in the chat room right now, Virtue Grace, I know you're in the chat room. Can you rent an apartment and can you buy a car?
I mean, in most African nations, you can. I don't know where you get it from.
We need to just stop.
No, but okay, I understand, but there's articles that are written by major publications about this. So again, we can all do the research to find out if I'm saying what I'm saying is true or a
You
lie.
see, but
Brother, you can't
You
hold
know,
on.
I'm not out here making things up. I have women that I know that live in Lagos and different places.
but
So hold on. So you found a couple articles and you're gonna generalize the entire country. I mean, come on. So you
but
found some
Dinus,
articles.
Dinus, I want to know
Go
why
ahead. Go ahead.
and traditions when most Black Americans are not even from Africa. We're from Turtle Island, the Americas. Black people have.
Okay, I ain't got time for that. I don't have time for that. I don't have time for that. I don't have time for that. I don't have
I'm done. Yeah, that yeah.
Yeah, I ain't got time for that shit.
The Cherokee Chocoto came
Yeah,
online.
yeah, 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 yeah. But I ain't got time for that too.
I'm sorry. Let me. What?
Lumani, this is your fault.
What? You
Oh
know,
God,
this
no!
is
You
what.
know.
I ain't got time for that. Not
Oh
today.
You
Oh,
know,
yo,
the only thing.
I don't have time for it today. I don't have another show.
wow.
You come out here another show and be turtle. I am. Hold on. I
An
am.
indigenous
Uh,
Yokoto.
Pixie color chicken salt
I'm
Choctaw.
dead.
Oh, from Turtle Island, and the slave trade
No,
happened in
nah, brother.
reverse. And
Nah,
the slave
cancel.
trade, I am a copper colored, Hennessy colored Choctaw Chickasaw mode from
So,
from uh,
oh man.
from Turtle Island.
Uh,
I'm
Oh,
dead.
but
Oh
so
man.
what I was just saying, just in response to you, is that the problem is, I think you're reading too many SJW articles or these Western type articles instead of actually being on the ground, because these
I'm on the
articles
ground.
have
I'd be in Nigeria.
every
I'd be in Nigeria all the time. I'll be
no,
on the
but
ground.
I
they
was
have an
just in
agenda,
Nigeria. I was just there. There's women, and there are, trust me, there are women in positions of
Yeah.
power. I mean, the richest black woman on the planet is a Nigerian.
No, I know that. I know that. And
There we go.
a lot of the women that are in positions of power are women that come from like these aristocrat rich
Oh, here we
families.
go. Here we go.
I'm
And
telling you the truth. What? Are you serious? This is real. I'm not
brother,
making it. But again, I don't want to make it
The
seem like Nigeria's a horrible place or women are just going to be, even northern Nigeria. You think women in northern Nigeria have any kind of rights? Maybe you're talking about women in
they
Lagos
do.
or in a more westernized type of an environment. But if you go to some of
You
the rural areas, if you go to northern
you
Nigeria,
see,
come on.
um,
There's women,
that
female mutilation, all that kind of stuff is happening to them. So I wouldn't say that
oh yes,
Nigeria.
just
I'm not saying that. I'm not going to say that Nigeria is a beacon of just like women freedom and all this kind of stuff. I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that Nigeria
but
is
you
as bad
see,
as a place as Saudi Arabia or something like that. But again, there's more work that can be done to improve the
well,
plight of women there.
brother, this is the thing. Let me
That's
say
all
this.
I'm saying.
Let
but
me
you see,
let me
mhm.
real quick, Lulu. Let me say this. I agree.
Yeah.
There's more work to be done, but if you think the work is going to be done by implementing feminism, you're delusional. That's
The
what I'm saying.
feminism you're talking about, yeah, I
And
mean, that's not going to help at all. I'm talking about just giving women more rights, passing laws saying a certain percentage of these political positions have to be occupied by women. A certain percentage of this has to be, I mean, if you're talking about Nigeria, we have the lowest female representation in politics in general. Alakija, I mean, Alakija, she married into a very like prestigious family that has money that goes back generations, right? So that's a totally different situation within itself. But
yeah.
oh, you were gonna say something? Sorry, I don't want to cut you off.
Oh, I was just saying, but honey, you see, the thing is, you are saying that if you go to they don't have as many rights as
They
Western cities,
don't.
westernized. You see,
Yeah,
that's your mistake there. You said westernized. So there's a difference
because I
between
said a word,
modernized and
westernized.
westernized. Yes, let me break it down, because when you say westernized, it means you are upholding Western culture to be, above you, meaning your African culture is beneath you, meaning Western ideals and ideology is what you should follow. But if you say modernized, it means even as an African, you understand it's the 21st century, but you're still an African. So the 21st century, what does that mean? It means that you can now, these days, you can choose to be a CEO or a housewife. You can choose, depending on what your situation is between your husband and wife, what you guys agree on. It doesn't now mean that you are forced to then be in the home and all these things. No, you are then now identifying that Western culture and placing it on Nigeria. That's where your issue is, which is why you reference the articles as well that are mostly written by Westernized people for an agenda, black or
So what do
white.
you
There's
what
a
do
lot
you
of
what
black
do you
people
define as
with the right
feminism
mind.
then? What do you
So,
define as what do you define as feminism?
hold on,
No, because
hold on,
you're
hold on, dear. Let me.
mischaracterizing You're
No, I'm not. Let
mischaracterizing
me
what I'm
finish.
saying. You're mischaracterizing what I'm
Let me
saying. I'm asking you, what do you
let
define?
me
Because
finish.
you took it from me. You
Yes,
went from me
before.
saying I
Let me
can't because
finish.
you're mischaracterizing what I'm saying. You took it
No,
from
I'm not.
Lagos is Western.
I'm
I
actually.
said Lagos is Western.
You
You took it
said.
to,
You
oh, I have
said.
a Western
You
mind and I'm a
said
white mind and all of
westernized.
that. Like you're doing a
No, you
lot.
said.
I never said
You
nothing close to
said.
that. Yeah,
You
they have more
said.
white. Yeah, they do.
Westernized
It's a more Western
cities.
environment. Yeah.
Calm down, sweets. You
But
said
you can't
the
tell someone to
westernized
calm down
environment.
after
What
you've
does that mean?
mischaracterized them.
No, you said westernized
Okay, so
cities. That's what I
it
took.
is a
Your
more
words.
Lagos is a
So
more
what does that
Western
you said
environment.
because to you the Western environment, what does that mean? That means balance. That means that's the way we should follow. So
That's what I
because
said
the other
before.
environments are not the other environments are not westernized, you said that they have more rights in the westernized cities, which
They
is why
literally do though. It's like a literal thing.
that's what
You
should
can go
be.
online
So
and see
basically,
the you
your
know.
that's that's not in dispute. Your argument is that that's what Africa should be, westernized instead of Africanized, instead of they are,
I would say that women have more
basically
rights. Women have more rights in Lagos than they do in Kano,
as be honest with you.
right?
The
Okay,
reason today are
Lumani,
Yeah.
Lumani,
less is their own culture. And hello,
Lumani, I was going to say this. Go ahead and finish your
hello.
statement. I actually have a Nigerian woman who lives in Nigeria
Yeah.
who's on the line
Yes.
right now.
Okay.
So,
Perfect.
so I'm gonna let her talk.
Perfect.
All right, Virtue Grace, can you address the claims that were made as far as
Yeah.
you can't buy
Yeah.
you,
They Yeah, hello.
yeah, go ahead,
Hmm.
Virtue.
Okay, so like Dennis says, I live in Nigeria. I'm a woman, and some of the things let's think about it is saying are really not representative of the real situation in Nigeria. First off, as a woman in Nigeria, I can own property, I can rent houses or whatever I
Yes.
want to, I can buy property. I have no restrictions whatsoever. Even in the rural areas, you have women doing stuff. You have women owning property, running homes, even as married women. So the idea that
Mm.
in Nigeria women are relegated to the background, women do not have a say, or women cannot own property
Wow.
or be in control is really not the situation. Honestly,
As a
let's
single
think
woman, can
about
you
it.
go and rent an
Mm.
apartment without you having to get a
Of
cosign from your
course,
husband?
of
Jesus
course, yes,
Christ.
yes,
I wish one of my homegirls was on here. She'll tell you that it was
yes.
difficult for her to get an apartment in Lagos, Lakey, because they were asking her who her father was, what he
You
does. And I was
you're
like, that's
you're
ridiculous.
talking you're talking about Lagos. That
Am
is
I
a different case
I'm just
altogether
asking you, am I
because
lying? Am I lying in what I said?
listen,
Am I lying
what
in
you've
what I
said
said?
is not completely true
Oh, not
about
completely true.
Lagos.
Okay, cool.
You
Thanks.
can rent property in Lagos even as a single woman. I know that there are some
Mm.
specific situations where you have to bring a representative, someone to stand in for you as a man, because
Okay, hold on.
some of those people have had some bad
Grace,
experiences with some single ladies, but
Grace,
that's not completely the
Mm,
case.
Grace, can I interject real quick? Okay, so let me just think. How old was your friend?
29, 20,
She's 29.
29,
Okay, all right,
30. Yeah, 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 yeah.
go ahead, Grace. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Virtue Grace.
Yeah, like a young person. Yeah.
I have friends who have rented apartments. I rented apartment when I first moved to Lagos. I didn't have to bring any man to stand for me. I signed all my documents myself. I paid for my apartment by myself. Right? I have single ladies who are my friends who have rented apartments. I have a friend living in Lekki Phase One. She paid
Mm.
her bills by herself. She signed her documents by herself. She didn't need any man to stand for her. So if you have some peculiar instances where someone demanded that a lady should bring a man to stand in for her, that's particular to that person. Do not generalize it. That's not the reality, to be honest. And then
Mm.
making your own pushing forth your own points based on articles you've read online is also not
And
completely
experience
right,
on ground,
because
experience on
because
ground. It's not just what I read online now. It's what I've seen on ground. It's what I see.
I,
It's when I go
I'm
out, how
saying
women are
I'm
regulated
speaking
to the
from
back. It's
experience as
true.
well. I'm speaking from experience. I live
So
in
are
Lagos,
you saying that women
right?
have the opportunity to aspire to the same levels that a man would have in
Sure,
Nigeria?
yes,
Oh
yes,
God. So it's easy.
yes.
Even so, how many female senators are there compared to how many male senators? How many women governors have been in Nigeria ever? Deputy governors.
We have women in government. We have
No,
women in
no,
power.
I'm not talking
Definitely
about
not
ministerial
that much in terms
positions.
of elective positions, but we have women in government. We have women
Yeah.
in government service doing amazing work. We've
No, of
had
course it's not
women.
zero.
We
I'm
have
not
women
saying it's
senators.
zero.
Yes, the numbers might
It's
not
really
be equal to men, but
small. And why
we
is it
have women in
small?
parliament, both at the
Wow.
federal and the state level,
Yeah,
right?
it's a
So
few minuscule,
saying that
maybe like a handful compared to the hundreds of positions that are available. But you're saying it's fine. I think it should improve, you know. I wouldn't
yes,
want
it has improved tremendously from what you knew when you were in Nigeria, because the way you speak, I don't
what
think you still live in Nigeria.
a few months ago, 6 months, a year ago, I was in
He's in
Nigeria.
he's
It's
in the
Really?
improved.
States.
Really?
Yeah, I'm
But
on ground. I'm all
you
over.
don't
I've
come
been
off
all
like
over
someone who is
Nigeria.
really familiar with Nigeria,
I'm
because
very familiar with
things
Nigeria. I'm probably
things
more
have
familiar with
changed
Nigeria than
tremendously.
you. What I was there
Really?
like I was there like what 6 months ago. I'm in Nigeria. My father has land in Nigeria. I have stuff I do out there. So
What
I'm
part?
there.
What part of Nigeria are you from?
I'm from Anambra State,
Are you
the
Igbo?
eastern part. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Anambra State, and you speak
Yeah,
like this.
yeah,
Uh,
from Anambra
People
State.
from Anambra State are like the most educated and most civilized people of
Yeah,
the
we're the
East.
only we're the only state in
And
Nigeria that's had a female governor for a year. Yeah, but
Igbo women from Anambra State are actually the most
very
influential,
entrepreneurial. Yeah, yeah, for
right?
sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So
100%.
what are you saying? Women in
Igbo
Anambra State
women
are
are
the
the
ones who
Igbo
really
women are
who
the
have so much
totality.
influence. You
Well,
know
what I'm saying is
Umuada, right?
Igbo
You know
women aren't
Umuada.
Igbo women aren't the totality of all Nigeria. I'm talking about Nigeria as a whole. I'm not talking about just Igbos. Even Igbos, we're not the best. We're not that great at it. I mean, we're probably the most progressive people in the country, but I'm not saying that we're like where I feel like women should be at. You know what I'm saying? That's my thing. So again, it's not like we're making it seem like Nigeria is just a dreamland for women.
No, that's not it. That's not it.
And I'll be
Nigeria
with
is definitely not a dreamland for women, but Nigeria is not as bad as you're making it seem,
no, it's better than
right?
Saudi Arabia.
You
I'm a
you
woman
making
and
it
I can
Sure.
see
Yeah,
you
I'm not
making
saying
it seem like women are oppressed, women have no
oh
say
yeah, they are for
whatsoever.
sure.
You made
yeah.
reference to the north. Even women in the northern
In
part of
there, I see
Nigeria
it.
are influential. They have the liberties to go to school. They have the liberties to hold
They have the
elective
liberties to go to school. Of
positions.
course, you
I
should be
know
able to
that
go
it's
to
not.
school.
I know it's not the same as it is in the north and the west and the southern part of Nigeria, but
So how is
women
it
in
in the
the north.
north? How's it in the north? That's still
Yes,
part
I
of
know that
Nigeria.
in the
That's
north
still part of
the liberties
Nigeria.
of women are somewhat limited because of
Somewhat limited.
the
Okay. How is it
religious
in the
reality
west?
of the north,
How's it in
right?
the west?
So
How's it in the
how is
west?
it in the west?
Because you're talking
Okay, so
about one. You're talking
in
about
the
the
west,
southeast
we are talking
being
about
like
the
Nigeria on
southeast, the
average.
southwest. The southwest we have the Yoruba states. The southeast we have the Igbo states. And you know the
Yes.
reality. Women
Okay.
are not restricted. Women have the right to go to school, to hold government positions, to go into business and do whatever they want to
Maybe
do.
again from a cultural standpoint, a Nigerian
Yes, from a cultural
standpoint,
standpoint, let me
women
remind
are
you that
not
do you
women
remember that
aren't
the first.
usually working. Women are the ones unless you come from a rich
Of
influential family.
course. Do you remember that the first woman to drive a car in Nigeria was a Yoruba woman?
Okay, hold on. I want to hear from the Nigerian women in Nigeria. Okay, I mean,
Yes.
just think. I would rather hear the experiences of the Nigerian women. I don't care where you're from. If you're in Nigeria, I want you guys to call in. Fafu Malal, say hello. Fafa Malau. Hold on. Okay. Hold on. I'm trying to hold on. Hold on. Fafa Malau, say hello.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, something's wrong. Hold on. Well, hold on. Let me Brother Kenneth, since you super chatted, anything you want to add real quick?
Yeah. Hi, how are you, Dinas? How you doing, man?
Good. Where are you from?
I'm originally from Anambra State.
Okay, it's Igbo, your man.
Yeah,
Your man
yeah.
he's saying that you
From
guys are
Anambra. I'm from Anambra State.
he said you guys are oppressing women out there. Go ahead, go ahead.
The sister that was talking, Grace. She asked this guy a very, very important question.
Yeah.
As an Anambra person, which he claims he is. He asked him, "Do you know who Umuada is?" He couldn't answer that
Yeah,
question.
no, Umada now. I know what Umada is. That's like the
So,
women.
so
That's like
okay.
the women group. Like we have Umuna. We have Umuna. They have
So
Umada.
what is
Yeah,
the role of Umuada?
they're the head of the women in a society. They're the head of the
Do
women.
you know? I'm telling you this based on my mom's burial. If Umuada says you are not going to bury somebody, you're not going to do nothing. It doesn't matter who the king is or who anybody is. Nothing will happen in that village.
Take
Do you know
Igbos
that?
out. Take Igbos
You know
out.
that?
Take us out. Take Igbos out. I'm talking about the
No, what
greater
do you mean?
Nigeria.
You generalize. No, brother, listen. You generalize Nigeria. You generalize Nigeria now.
I'm saying on average.
And
I'm saying
Igbo.
on average. I'm saying not all.
Can I? Excuse me. Can I talk and make my points because you've been talking?
Go on.
And somebody who is Igbo and from Anambra State is now trying to talk to you about the women there, their powers and the things they do. And you now say take away the Igbos. This is the thing.
Saying from the beginning. From the beginning, I've been talking about West Africa. I've been talking about the greater Nigeria. That's why I'm saying. Do they have that in the north? Do they have that in the west? We're talking about Igbos. Igbos were the most progressive people in Nigeria.
No. You can't.
On average, the average Nigerian.
Can we have a civil discussion where you can make your points and let another person make their points? Again, I've been on this show before, and I'm one person that disagreed that one tribe or one ethnicity or whatever is superior. God gives to everybody in abundance.
Not superior,
we have to bring that together. She just told you that the first woman to drive a car in Nigeria is Fela's mother. She's not Igbo. Yeah. So you're not going to say that the Igbos are the best or are the most progressive. No, it's all from every aspect. So this is my point. What you need to understand is it's just not about Nigeria, but about the world in a whole. Men have been in positions of power for a long time. They've made a lot of money as well. So because of that, it's going to take time for women to catch up. In a place like Nigeria, which doesn't have the kind of awareness that you have in places like America. Remember that in the United States, we just had an election where a female ran for office, and you have an electoral college where there was some kind of bias. You have to put that in place before you start accusing Nigeria. But I'll give you something. I don't really want people to know me that much personally, but Nigeria's last government, the administration of Olusegun Obasanjo, they were the government that paid Nigeria's World Bank debt and cleared the money Nigeria was owing IMF. It was paid off under that government. They had a payment structure. Do you know the people that made sure that happened? You had Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, who was Nigeria's finance minister. She was the Nigeria's finance minister. She has been the vice president of World Bank. This is one of the most educated women out there.
What you're saying is,
I'll tell you again.
People are doing good.
If you go on YouTube now, you can watch the recent World Economic Summit that happened in Cape Town.
Exactly.
I know her personally. I'm going to tell you this. I don't call her Obi, I call her Kate. You can go there and listen to her. She is one of the most influential women in Africa. Right. She also worked at the highest level with World Bank. Obi has done tremendous jobs in Nigeria. She's been minister. She is known as Madam Due Process because of the word
on the right thing
due
to
process
be done.
which she brought into the ministry. She wouldn't let men do anything unless you follow a due process before you can get a contract.
You. Let me give you a kiss.
She was an education minister too. And I'm going to keep going. Even to the point that we had a movie, the world celebrated the Ebola crisis that hit Africa from nowhere, that Nigeria was able to manage and control. Do you know that it was a woman that a female doctor that took care of that problem?
Yes.
Do you know that? We can also go back to the times of what's this name? Lady's name? Dora Akunyele. She handled NAFDAC.
This guy.
She handled NAFDAC. All the drugs that come into Nigeria that are imported, they had no labeling. They didn't go through the process of being certified. Doye Akunyele took that ministry to the point that she had death threats. And she took care of NAFDAC and controlled all those things. We have all these women doing all those things. But what you can say, there's a gap because of the power that men have attained within time and the money that men have made. But nobody stops anybody. I'm also raised by a woman. I have brothers. And I'm telling you, medical doctors, engineers. But our mother remains a woman who has done more. And then there's nothing like what you claim. The kind of things you're talking about is things that people read in newspaper. Do you know that the fight against the female kidnapping that happened in the north, bring back our girls, that group, which obviously is also a co-founder. The other lady is a northern lady. Have you ever listened to that woman speak? Yeah. Have you ever listened to her speak?
She takes on the government.
Do you know that the woman that the present Nigerian government is still looking for to come back from the UK so that she can go to court about some financial cases? Desiani Madueke. Do you know that she was once the president of OPEC, Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries in the world? She was Nigeria's oil minister. Do you understand that? Do you understand what it is for you to be a woman and head Nigeria's oil industry? Come on. You can't say that. That's the only African country that has given a woman that kind of level. Oil is Nigeria's main income earner. And when you give a woman the position to be the #1 in oil, I think you should shut up if Nigeria could do that.
So are you saying?
Did you mention Aisha Mohammed from the north?
Yes, I told her. I just talked about Aisha. Yeah.
So are you saying that
the UN woman,
what she's been doing? You're saying that what she's saying is made up? What I've seen with my own eyes, the stories that people tell me when I'm on ground in Nigeria, you think they're just making this shit up from
what are they making up? That a woman there is telling you that she don't need a man to rent a house.
Right, you know the culture, man. Women can't. It's unless you come from an affluent family, you know, it's very difficult.
Do you know? Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something you don't know, and nobody knows that. I'll tell you that today, so that you can go and do your research. People don't know this. Obi Ezekwesili that I'm just telling you about, who was also a vice president of World Bank at the time. If you are talking about influence, let me tell you, Obi Ezekwesili lived in my house when she was going to school. She went to school at University of Nigeria, Nsukka at the time, and she did her youth service in Bauchi State. My father went and brought her stuff back when she finished from Bauchi State. When Obi would take a holiday from school, she would stay in my house. Do you know why she stayed in my home in Enugu? Do you know why? You know why? I'll tell you why. Because she could not afford to go back in the holidays to her home in Lagos. Her family lived in Lagos and come back to the East and start school. So she stayed with us. Do you know what her mother did for a living to take care of her family? Her mother sold Gary. Her mother was frying Gary in Ajegunle. You know Ajegunle? You say you go to Nigeria. You know Ajegunle? Obi grew up in Ajegunle.
That's Lagos.
Obi grew up in Ajegunle.
Yeah.
Obi grew up in Ajagunle. So why are you talking about influence if she is in that level, in that position in Nigeria? She's, Obi is also married to a pastor from Redeemed Church. Do you know him? Have you heard about him? If men are the ones who intimidate women in the culture, and you have someone whose mother sold Gary, which is like the least or the lowest level of work you can do in Nigeria, get to that position, and he's even married to a man who is in a position where people adore you as a pastor, and he's still in the shadows. Come on, man. Think about it.
Yeah, no, I'm not disagreeing that there are. Again, I'm not saying not all, not everybody. I'm not going to be an absolutist and say there's zero. Again, I spoke about my own grandmother, who comes from Enugu State, who had one of the largest farms in the East. Speaking about my mom, who went to Nigeria. So again, I grew up around women, and men, obviously, but women, we're talking about women now, but I grew up around women who were very entrepreneurial, who were out there, go-getters, all of that. So I'm not saying it's zero, but what I'm saying is, again, y'all don't want me to generalize, speak about averages, but yeah, the average plight for a woman is not good in Nigeria. Again,
If you want to wish that for yourself and the women you know, if you want to wish that for yourself and the women you know,
see, this is what
if you want to wish that, listen, if you want to wish that for yourself and the women you know, that's okay, but you can't generalize. While we are talking about this, we're on the internet, we are doing media stuff or whatever. The richest woman in terms of media in Nigeria is Linda Ikeji. Linda Ikeji comes from a very poor family. She's able to start a blogging when people weren't even doing all these things. She comes to the United States and pays $300,000 cash for a Bentley. She is #1 blogger in Africa.
Hold on, let me give you another one.
Let's also mention Mo Abudu. Mo Abudu is also a media
too many of them.
She's a woman. She has a TV network.
There's too many
she's
of them.
making big stuff. Right.
Banks in Nigeria call Linda to give her money to negotiate contracts and stuff.
Yeah.
She has her own TV online, giving her contents to start, begging her. They're actually begging her. She's a female. She doesn't even have a man in her life. Because most times you say a man gotta be the one to do these things for you. But it's important for us to get out of this mindset.
Like you said, most times a man has to be the one to do these things
have you mentioned
because over time men have had money and power.
You just proved my point.
I didn't prove your point. What I'm telling you is that around the world, it's always been like that. But you are saying that in Nigeria, there's a culture where women are subjected in the sidelines, in the shadows, that men are the ones who do everything.
For the most part, that's true.
No, we're giving you examples of this.
I'm not saying, again, you keep on trying to make it seem like I'm being an absolutist. I'm not saying that it's 100% women can't do nothing. Of course, there's women that could do things.
But that's the same thing everywhere in the world.
Okay, but again, so that's my point. My point exactly. Just because it's the same all over the world doesn't mean that it's a good thing or that's something that should continue. We need to improve, just like the rest of the world.
Okay, I just sat here and said that we need to improve. I need a percentage of how the number of women are being just oppressed in Nigeria. Give me a percentage, Justine. I want a percentage.
Oh, a percentage?
Yeah, I want a percentage.
Over 75%.
Where'd you be?
That's an exaggeration.
You said you want me to give you a percentage. If you want me to do some research, you're gonna have to give me some time to email you later on the research or whatever. But I mean, it probably is. It's not gonna be like 50%. It's gonna be over 60, 70, 75%.
No.
I wanted to say 90%, but I knew y'all was gonna scream down my throat. You feel me? So that's why I was like, okay. Let me just say 70, 75%.
No.
There's gonna be that 25% of women who are able to get through the cracks, like Ikojiwelas and all the elite women that you're talking about. But from a cultural standpoint, for instance, from a cultural standpoint in Nigeria, they favor educating men over educating women. That's a fact. Whenever two people,
who's telling you this?
Hey, serious? Are you serious?
No.
The greater
This guy
Nigerian
is not he's not in touch with Nigerian reality, to be honest.
You say
No,
Women are educated in Nigeria. Women are educated.
I've been
let me
all over
tell you something
Nigeria.
you
I've
need
been
to know.
north, south, east, west, south, south, southeast. I've been all over Nigeria. Now you can't tell someone
Being
that I haven't been
over,
over Nigeria.
bros. I don't
Let's be
think that being
honest.
over. I
No,
don't think being over Nigeria
Come
is what
on.
explains these things.
no.
I think for
But like,
the Igbo,
but like what you said, but like what you said, you've already
let me
admitted
tell you,
that this is something that the world needs to improve upon.
you
So you've
have to
already admitted that this is the
you
case.
have to understand the way these things are structured. If you actually Igbo and understand your culture, I'll tell you something. Let me take you a little back. And then after this show, I will suggest for you to do one thing. It's going to help you. I know that you claim to be Igbo, Anambra, Enugu, but you are not. Go back and read. Go back and read. Go you and you seem to read a lot of articles, but I'll give you an original article.
And I have a lot of
book to
personal
read.
experiences.
Go
I'm not
and
just
read
reading.
things
I'm
fall.
not just
Listen.
reading.
You
Go and
don't.
read things fall
Sorry.
apart.
Things
Okay.
Go
fall
and read.
apart.
One
Go
of my
and read
favorite
things fall
books.
apart from
One of
Chinua
my
Achebe.
favorite books. One of my favorite books.
So you don't understand that book. My mother is from Ogidi. Chinua Achebe is my maternal uncle.
Culture?
This is what you need to know.
Listen, are we talking about just Igbo culture? Are we talking about the greater Nigerian, the overall culture that
all of it.
No, but you can't talk about
okay, so let me.
I have to start with Igbo. Can I say something about Igbo?
Can I speak?
I will let the Nigerian woman speak. Go ahead.
No problem.
He doesn't want the woman to talk. He doesn't want the men to talk. He's just you're just into your own assumption.
Grace, what does Grace have to say?
What you need to understand is this. This is what you need to understand. We had a tradition. We've had a tradition culturally. I'll start with the Igbos because I'm Igbo first. Whatever I can say about other cultures or tribes is something that probably from experience, relationship with people from other places or whatever. But in the Igbos, the reason why I told you to read things fall apart is that the men had a culture. This is what worked for them, where they would go and farm. And what they farmed in was yam. That's why we do the New Yam Festival. But because they had to go to the farm, someone had to take care of the child. And then the woman would stay at home because the farming was more of like a physical job. They had to do that. Something similar happened in the United States too. When the men went for war, and at the time, they needed the bullets to be made. You know what I'm saying? And the women were brought to the factories to make those bullets and stuff they needed to send to war, and they were being paid. By the time the men came back from war in America, women were also working. So times changed. So that same mentality and culture is also what happened with the Igbos, with the farming and the yam stuff. A lot of females also, who are the kind of people that you are trying to talk to, which is not good. They still have that mindset where they believe that they have to be in the shadows. What I'm trying to tell you is that it's not like that anymore. I know women that are very educated in Nigeria, there's this lady that works in UK. She's one of my customers here in America. She's not married. She works for herself. She works for a tobacco company, and she would send thousands of money for something. Nobody controls her. I know people, women too, that own hotels. So these things change with time. You are actually still in the older mentality of where you believe that a woman is not allowed to do anything, is not allowed to go to school. Do you know who Flora Wapa is? Flora Wapa, the novelist that wrote books from back in the days.
Buchi Emecheta. Mention Buchi Emecheta.
Do you know Buchi Emecheta? These people have
the author of Joys of Motherhood.
Exactly. Buchi Emecheta has interviews with BBC from back in the days. These people are on YouTube.
Way back.
So how can you have that mindset?
So everything's just rosy. Everything's fine. It's perfect. Nigeria is a perfect shining example.
Nowhere is
we're not saying that.
Exactly. I'm not saying that either. So what are we arguing about? I'm
We're
not
not
saying
saying
that.
Nigeria is
That's
perfect,
not what I'm saying.
but you are painting a picture that is not true of Nigeria. You're making it seem
What
like
picture am I
Nigeria is this country.
painting?
You are trying to paint a picture that looks like Nigeria is this country where women are oppressed. Women have no say whatsoever, both at the national level and at the home front, which
At
is
the
not
national
true. That's
level,
what
they
we are.
have a minimal. They have no. We could actually go pull up the amount of representation that women have. We could pull that up. I mean, if you want facts.
I want you to pull up the 75% facts. That's what I want.
You're pushing. You're pushing.
That
This
percentage is so
guy is talking
From a
about.
ridiculous.
You're talking
national
about national
perspective.
level. You're talking about national level. Senators representing Anambra State, Anambra North, are women.
Stella Odua.
Ekunife Stella Odua, who was former Minister of Aviation. Where are you getting your information from?
What about
She's from
Enugu? What
Anambra
about
State,
Imo?
your
What
state.
about Abia? What about River State?
They have women.
What
They have
about
women too in government.
what about
the
State?
new
What
the new
about
governor of
Adamawa State? What
the new
about
governor of Imo
Kano
State.
State? What
The
about
new
other
governor
little
of
states?
Imo
You're
State
cherry
that you
picking.
mentioned.
This is
The new
cherry
governor of
picking.
Imo State that you mentioned has a young female that has lived in America like you that helped and worked in his campaign. He has just given him an appointment. He just gave her an appointment. She was living in America for all her life and wanted to go back and start the African dream. And she joined the campaign. Amarachi, she's part of the government.
So let me ask you this question. Real quick. Since we all know that things aren't rosy for women in Nigeria, we've admitted that. What do you think needs to improve? You don't sound like that. You sound like everything. What do you think needs to improve? What do you think needs to work? That's my thing.
Let the woman answer. Virtue Grace.
Okay, yeah, Virtue. Let me ask you now. Let me ask you. What do you think needs to improve? Since things aren't perfect, we've admitted that things aren't perfect. Things need to improve. What do you think needs to improve? That's my
Things aren't perfect, but to improve, of course, we are making progress. There's more awareness about the value of education, and which we've recorded increased number of enrollment in schools, both for children, and we have women increasingly indicating interest to participate in politics. And they just concluded general elections, both at the national and local level. You saw women who came out to contest elective positions. Yes, it is true that systematically men have tried to manipulate the system to disfavor women, but that doesn't mean that women are just sitting at home and not doing anything. So getting things to improve, of course, is more awareness creation, which has been ongoing and which will continue to go on to encourage women to, engage in politics at the national and local levels, right? And then, of course, enrolling more girls in school, which is what has been going on. Please hold on for me. I'll be right back.
Okay. Everyone, please hit that like button. We have 300 people watching. Please hit the like button. Please hit the like button. Hold on one second. Fafu Malau, go ahead. Fafu Malau.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Peace, everyone. Sister Lumani, if you're still there, greetings. Who's on the line? Virtue.
Yes.
Hi. I wanted to get on with you earlier. The screen is small. So anyway, peace to everyone that's on the call. Bawoni, Virtue Grace. So I've been in private chat, which Bife Adiwale might have been witnessing between myself and think about it. Is that what your name is? What should I address you as?
No, you could say Chuka. That's my name. Yeah, Chuka. That's like my little YouTube name or whatever.
Chukwuka.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead, Fafu Malau.
Okay. So
can I talk?
Okay, are you hearing me clearly now? Virtue,
yeah,
go ahead.
We can hear you. Yeah.
I'll wait. Miss Virtue wants to speak. I'll wait.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. I mean, if she's rolling with the point, there might be something on the forefront of her mind. what I have to say, it won't go anywhere.
Okay.
Okay, so and then talking about what to do to move forward, also we need to have constitutional review such that there's provision for more women to be allowed to participate politically, because we find that at the party levels, both at the local and state levels, most times women tend to be disadvantaged because of the structure and the constitutional provisions or the party provisions of such parties. So we need to address that as well. But that doesn't mean to say that women do not participate in politics. The reality is that sometimes women tend to be disadvantaged because of the party structure, and also that needs to also be addressed to provide for more women to participate in politics. And then, of course, I've talked about awareness creation to get women involved, and then enrollment and education of girls in school, which has increased tremendously over the years. So, yeah, I think that's my submission for now. Maybe if I think of something else, I might add. You can talk.
I think again, you just proved my point. From a systemic standpoint, women are disadvantaged. You said it multiple times. Again, am I saying that things are not improving or things are horrible, blah, blah, blah? Maybe I need to change my tone or something to make it sound like I'm not. Again, I'm not saying it's Saudi Arabia, but there's a lot of work that needs to be done.
So what?
No, I'm not saying that it is Saudi. That's not what I'm saying. But I am saying that it's not all rosy. It's not all perfect. Like she alluded to, there's some systemic, structural issues that haven't been changed for cultural reasons that are keeping a lot of women back. So let's not try to make it seem like, and again, Chimamanda Adichie talks about these things all the time. I keep on referencing Chimamanda. I'm saying, is she lying? Is she making it up? Is she coming up with fake stuff?
This girl,
she's not.
You're talking about the author, right?
Yeah. Okay,
so
the Evo author.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. This girl. No. This girl.
I'm listening.
This author you're talking about. She parades around with the likes of Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton, who completely played a role in destroying a country. Hillary Clinton, who laughed about locking up black men. I mean, come on.
I don't like Hillary Clinton as well. I'm not a big fan of Chimamanda. Let me just put it out there.
Do you know Chimamanda? Do you know her?
She's from Enugu. Yeah.
No. I'm asking Chuka. Do you know her?
Like personally, on a personal level, no. Some of my family members do, but I don't know her. How would I know her?
Man, I think you. I'm sorry, I don't.
I know that. I know that.
I don't want to sound like
family. I know the Adichie family in Enugu. They're like professors and academia people, but I don't know.
I don't want to sound like I'm kind of like bringing you down or stuff like that, whatever. But
no, you good. You're good.
You sound like you watch a lot of TV, man.
No, nah, man. I'm on ground.
Sorry.
Yeah,
please,
man.
Please.
I think she wanted to say something.
Yeah, I want to.
Oshunola.
Yes, you made a very good point there, Kina. No disrespect. Let's think about it. But you're just going to take me back to in the beginning of the show where I really wanted to talk to you and Sister Lumani. A lot of what you're saying literally sounds like it's just
I got this off my chest real quick. Chimamanda is a Western-backed Nigerian.
Western-backed girl.
God, I can't believe
have you ever seen Chimamanda?
Let Famulao talk. Hold on, let her talk. I'm sorry. I just had to get that off. She's a Western.
Chimamanda doesn't even have it easy with men in Nigeria, to be honest. Men take on her, like her ideas are not.
No, she can never. No, but a Nigerian man is just gonna tell you to just make him jellified and make him babies and stay at home.
What is your name? I'm sorry.
Did you follow the social media outrage that she got when she talked about misogyny? Did you follow the social media outrage?
Can we?
I think she wants to speak. The girl.
Yeah.
Hold on. Go up. I just had to jump.
I think that what's your name? So I can address you properly. Let's think about it. Chuka. Chuka, I think that the points that you were raising has kind of side railed the topic of the show just a little bit, but they're all very valid. I want to go back to the topic for a minute because I was really itching to come on and address something that you said earlier. I don't need to remember what it is now, but the question, I believe, was, or the topic was, feminism is anti-African spirituality. Now, I listened to you talk about how poorly, the situation is in Nigeria and in West Africa and stuff like that. And when, you were being given the definition of feminism here in the West, and you asked several times, well, what is it? What is it? Um, Sister Lumani and Prince Dinas, if correct me if I'm wrong, but the question or the statement was geared more towards feminism in the Western hemisphere, correct? Here in America.
No, it was geared towards.
Yes, it
Okay,
was.
go ahead, Lumani. I'm sorry.
Oh no problem.
Right.
Do you
It
want
was,
to go?
the toxicity that we're enduring over here as a result of it, and how it is furthering our demise at Black families and African spirituality and all
Yes,
of that's
yes.
what I. Okay. So, with that being said, Chuka, feminism here in America, it is anti African spirituality. I'm listening to you speak. You're Igbo, and you don't sound like you're African centered at all, even though you're Igbo and Nigerian. You don't sound. I'm not trying to be disrespectful at all. I'm a straight shooter. I try to be as
No.
kind as I can.
You're
You
entitled to your own
speak.
opinion. It's fine.
You you speak like you are European indoctrinated. Everyone in the chat room is asking if you're gay, which is why I asked you your sexual orientation,
Far
and
from
you
it.
answered.
Far from
You
it.
and
Yeah.
right. I mean, because your views kind of,
It's
it's kind
fine.
of, you
It's
know,
fine. I don't
um,
mind.
yeah. So most of the people that tuned in initially were ready
Yeah.
for it. Let's talk about African spirituality and how feminism has no place in it. And for me, just being who I am, and I actually spoke to Prince Dimes before the show, and I said, I think I'm going to call in, because um, being someone, like, I wasn't born in Nigeria. I was brought up Jamaican with a lot of Nigerian influence, and my ancestry bloodline, a great portion of it is Nigerian, Yoruba in particular, and then there's Angola, and there's some other things, Angolero, right? So I, for one, am frustrated because I don't, and I say this all the time because it's something that bothers me. I can't even have women friends or female friends because we think so differently. Okay, we're so far removed from where we came from, and then we want to sit around and complain about how men are this, men are that, all the men are gay, it's not just soy. Yeah, I blame the soy, but we have to blame feminism as well, because it puts us in a position to hate men or look down upon them. We're vying for their roles. We're walking around literally wanting penises, trying to prove that we're just as powerful as you are. We're powerful. I'll go ahead and say it. We probably are more powerful than you, but as women in our own role. And when I say that, I speak for things like giving birth to babies. And then when we go to African spirituality, let's speak Ifa. I'll speak on what I know. Okay, Ifa, okay, is the merging or the marriage between what we call Odu, which is the cosmic womb, and Orumila, which is male in orientation. Together, that's male and female. Ifa operates with both. We cannot have one without the other. Okay? So when we start trying to separate the two and have one overpower the other, or say that one is more than the other, we bring about more confusion, we bring about more destruction, bring about
Yin
more
yang.
chaos. Pardon me?
I said yin yang.
Yin and yang, right? We have to have that in all things. Feminism is not yin yang. It's and it's trying to. It's this. It goes back to, let me see, a part of the creation story, or one of the stories that have to do with creation from a Yoruba perspective. When the Irumale, which are like the creation Orisha, the creation deities, came to Earth, there was only one female Orisha or Irumale, and that was Oshun. She's water, life-giving property, life-giving, principles. She also represents fertility and childbearing.
Prosperity
Okay.
too.
Yes.
And prosperity, yeah.
And prosperity, all of that. But we're just dealing with it from a feminine perspective, right? What and prosperity, fertility, as in physical birth, as well as abundance and prosperity. Yes. And joy. Oshun is the essence of joy, not this over sexualized stuff over here in America that. Anyway, needless to say, Ogun and Obata and everybody, they try to, do this and build that and, form this. And, they were trying to put Earth together. No matter what they did, everything failed, but they left Oshun out of it. Okay. The only feminine energy that came to Earth, she was sent by Olodumare, which is, our name for the Almighty God, one supreme God. Right? Right. So Olodumare sent her. He knew that it was necessary. Okay. Again, she is the cosmic womb. She is an element, or you can't have Odu without Oshun. So to me, they're like almost, just doing the same. Right? Now, she's water, because birth, you think when a woman is pregnant, the baby, the fetus is in water, right? The ocean, all life springs forth from water, right? You cannot do anything without water, and water is feminine, right?
All life comes from the women.
Thank you. But
and then in Nigeria, that's what Chukadem should be worried about.
That is exactly.
They're all worried about the European religion. And all that nonsense. It's all come from the woman. The woman was made first.
Right. But it doesn't mean that because the woman was made first, she came to that we need to, because there was disorder and chaos and imbalance. They went back to heaven and they said, to Orun, and they said, Olodumare, it's not working out. So Olodumare says, well, what did you do this? Did you do that? Wait, I noticed only you guys came back. Where is Oshun? Oh, well, she's over there, or, whatever. Well, did you include her in your works? No, she's a woman. Why would we do that? Right? And he's saying, let's leave this to Oshun to work out. I mean, we go into the whole Odu of Oshe, Oshe Meiji and all of that. We leave all of that alone. But again, polarity, yin and yang. It doesn't mean that, so if disorder and chaos came about from there, the same would have to happen if it were the other way around. If Oshun came to Earth and tried to do everything all by herself, it would be a flood. It would be sloppy. Nothing would stand tall. Nothing would move forward. Everything would just be, afloat. There would be no grounding and stability. So in anything, and I mean, I could go on and on and on, African spirituality is not just Ifa, but I'm speaking for what I live by. In anything, there has to be balance. And yes, equality in the sense that there's, red and black, Eshu, negative, positive, yin yang, left, right, chaos, order. One should never be above the other in that aspect. But as far as being equal to men, no. As long as we don't have the same chromosomes, no matter what kind of sex change you have or whatever, we can never outdo, or take the place of men or do without them. There are things that men can do better than us, and there are things that we can do better than men, hey, but it's not really about that. When we realize that we have our strengths and we're supposed to put them together and see how they work. Feminism is a crucifixion to African spirituality and the Black family. We can go nowhere with it. It does not belong to us. And so I get sick to my stomach where I see these African American women, even African women now, walking around with the head ties on. I feel embarrassed because I tie my head most often, right? Anybody knows me, they like usually see me with a head wrap, not all the time, and it makes me feel some type of way because I don't want to be viewed as one of those. I have my reasons for doing it, but it's just like you walk around and I'm this and I'm gonna go and get initiated, or I have my altar, this and that and the other, and then you have these meetings where you just talk crap about men all day, and talk about how we need to fortify ourselves as women and do more for our women. Yeah, great, but don't put down the men in the process. It doesn't work. It's idiotic. It's foolish and it's destructive. And then there's the talk of the divine feminine coming into power now. And, before, it was so masculine, the world was masculine dominated and this, that, and the other. Feminine energies coming in to take over the world now. Listen, it was imbalanced when it was just the masculine. It's going to be imbalanced when it's just the feminine. The earth itself has a north and a south pole. And we're connected to that. The hemispheres, of the earth, of the globe, they affect our polarity in our brain. So when the earth is out of alignment, our brains are actually, and our minds, our thinking, our functioning is actually out of alignment as well. Did anybody know that? So
I actually agree with you.
When polar shifts are happening, if we're not grounded and connected spiritually and cosmically connected, we get thrown off kilter. Because you're not connected to the cosmic mother and the divine masculine. Oshumare is male and female. Olodumare is male and female. Olokun is male and female. Even Oshun has a masculine side. Oshun that wears pants. Yep. Obatala and Yewon. We could go on and on and on. I just want to say that, I'm tired of the BS. I can't wait to move to Africa. I want to be amongst my fellow sisters. And, hopefully I'm somewhere where I have an influence on, bringing back communal living, like where we're thriving as a community, the way that we used to, and the way that it works.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
That's okay.
You really blessed me a lot. I agree with everything you said, but
100% agree. 100% agree with that. That's why I said egalitarianism. That's what I'm saying. There needs to be what I've been trying to say
something, Choka. I forgot what I wanted to say though. I said, what I was gonna say is, you even agree with her. But, for those that have seen me on this show, I am one person that is not biased. I keep it real. I say it the way it is. The first time I got on this show, I got threats from my own Igbo people because I was just speaking the truth. So what I was just trying to tell you is that communal thing that you're thinking about is very good, is very great. I still have the memories from going back to the town where my maternal grandmother them came from, which is, Choka, where Chinua Achebe is from, Ogidi. We all stayed together in the night during the full moon, and they'll bring the meal and we share the meal with everybody within the compound, within the community, played in the rivers that are even like extinct now.
Yeah.
We had the Odo River, the rivers that Obano Okute, the one that run from the stones and all those kind of stuff, played in sand, and then the women took care of everybody, regardless of whose child it was and stuff like that. Those things, they've kind of like all phased it out with
they can come back.
Globalization.
We're gonna bring it back.
Modernity and all that. But where you're gonna have the biggest problem, I have to tell you this. I already know that you're a strong African woman spiritually. Where you're gonna have the problem is when you tamper or come close to their religion. The European religion is going to be a big problem.
I don't intend on touching that.
Oshunola, one thing I agree with you. That's what I said in the beginning. when I look at feminism, I'm looking at it from what the girl what's her name, Precious, or she just dropped off. From a structural standpoint, women don't really have that many rights. So women need to have more rights, more opportunities, all those kind of things. That's where I'm coming from. That part of feminism, like I had said earlier, there are women who take that feminism to the next level. What she was talking
So
about.
listen. I don't mean to interrupt either of you, but I'm going to, just because, you guys are on for quite a while. I just want to say I have no intention of touching anybody's religion. One, two. This is where bridging the gap.
Yeah,
This is where bridging the gap comes in. This is where the few of us who are bold and brave enough to go back home come in. We can do it on our own and with those there that wish to rebuild and bring it back. Because I speak to people all the time from Nigeria who want it, who are tired of the oppressed minds that they're around, tired of the colonial, impact and the influence. And so it is not impossible, but I won't try to touch anybody's religion per se. All I know
it's not even religion. It's people's business. It's trying to touch people's money making machine.
No. But you see, here's one thing that I didn't do, and I won't do is say how I intend to be a part. It's not me going in there to work a miracle and take charge and all of that. There are other people, men and women alike, who want to, bring back what left in the diaspora that is reviving itself, or that has survived underground, and go back home with it and reintroduce not that we have anything that you guys don't have or anything that's better, but we need to come together.
A lot of people in Africa have actually lost that. It's
that's
someone
okay.
like you that actually
but guess
has
what? But the ones you hear speaking about what was lost are predominantly here because it came with us.
That's what I'm saying.
Listen,
right. The most people that have what has been lost are actually here.
And we're going back those because we understand the importance of African spiritual and African, way of being and thinking. Like I actually, it irks me to hear men talk about how bad African American women
I think
are.
Lumani's
and
trying to come back on.
Yeah, I'm gonna and then a couple more minutes for Falal. I'm gonna let.
Yeah.
Well, take your time.
It is true that a lot of our, and I don't want to say African American, I'm just our sisters over here in America, we've been taken. I'm going to say we as a part of a collective, but I've had healing to do too, but I've been on my journey for a long time. I'm not going to act like I wasn't affected as well. We are a product of our environment. We're a product of we are. This is very important for me to say. We are a product of our generational curses. We're a product of our, of this, the stuff that was instilled in our mothers primarily and fathers through slavery. We're a product of the societal conditioning, of the propaganda, the brainwashing. We're a product of that. And it takes work to relieve yourself of it, to heal from it. The cognitive dissonance it runs deep. And the only way that our American sisters can break free of that is to actually have a desire to be better or to be more or to, take it back to home, even within themselves, even if they never leave this place. Because at some point, I would hope that they would get tired of hearing men say, "Oh, we don't want you anymore." You know what I'm saying? Like, if you don't feel bad to hear men say, "I don't want you. I don't want no Black American," our own men saying that, then that means that that we have to talk about self-hatred again. You know what I'm saying? Low self-esteem. It's sad. We're sick over here. And I'm saying we, but I'm not referring to myself. I'm not going to put myself, I don't want to sound superior to anyone because I'm that's not what I'm trying to do. But, the key to solving any problem It's finding the root of the problem. Our root is where we came from. So going back to traditional ways of being, and we don't have to go back to dinosaur, but going back and studying successful, you know, systems, West African spirituality in particular, that's, what I know. It's imperative. And I would like to say though too that the men that sit around and bash women, women bash men too, so I don't need to say that because we are talking about feminism here. But it does not help when our men, bash, our
No,
lost
those men are
sisters.
like those
No,
aren't
no,
men. They're
no,
weak-minded.
no,
That's
not
not a man.
necessarily. A lot of them are, but
No.
some of them are just frustrated and hurt as well because we women
Yeah,
tend
but
to forget.
if your hurt turns into talking shit about women, you're not a
Well, women
man.
talk shit about men too. This is what I'm saying. Let's
That's
be equal
no,
here.
but
Let's talk about equal, right?
no. As a man, you
No,
shouldn't be out here talking about women.
no, they should
That's
not. But women
ridiculous.
shouldn't. Chuka.
Mm. No,
They
I
should not.
understand, but I'm
I'm
just
not
from a man's
justifying it.
perspective. If a woman did something to you and you spend your life talking about other women or trying to do other women
Listen,
wrong,
I need to finish. I need to
that's
get
not
this
a
off my
man.
chest.
You
Listen
know,
to me.
that's
No,
ridiculous.
men in this country have been beat down, beat down,
That was another
and
point I was gonna make.
beat down some more. Okay, by women. They're hurt. I'm not saying that it's okay, but it's an indicator. So what is it going to help? Well, how are we going to help by saying, oh, they shouldn't do that, oh, they shouldn't talk about? Well, women need to stop doing it too. What I'm trying to say though is that what I want for my sisters to hear and receive is that the more we beat our men over their heads with negative remarks and slurs and everything, is the more it's just going to make it worse because you want respect. You want respect, but you don't get it by trash talking a man. By telling him he ain't good for nothing. You low down, dirty, this, that, and the other. Um, Hearing our men speak about us in the manner in which they do should be a wake up call, not a call to go join a feminist movement. It should be a call to see, okay, to do some soul searching and figure out what the heck is going on. Why are we like this? What happened? Why are we like this? What happened? Same with the men, but we are talking about feminism. So what really drove us to this? What made us fall for the Oyimbo's trick? What made us fall for the white woman's trick?
It's a white agenda. It's a white agenda.
What made us fall for it? What made us fall for it?
It's a white agenda. So when someone references someone like Chimamanda Adichie, you should know she's a tool. It's that simple.
Yeah. No comment.
Yeah, exactly. Virtue Grace. Go ahead and we'll pass it back to Lumani. Virtue Grace, can you hear me? Virtue Grace, you there? Are you frozen? You there, Virtue? Okay, she can't hear me. Okay, Lumani, go ahead, Lumani. Lumani.
Hello?
Yeah, Lumani, go ahead.
Hello?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Just want to say thank you to the sister who was talking. I really learned so much, and especially with the West African perspective as well, and me coming from the East African perspective, from the very beginning, this entire chat was based on the fact that feminism is anti-Black female worldwide. And it was also based on the fact that it is not part of our cultures, and it breaks apart the Black families, and it's not part of our being, our nature. So we even broke down, if people play the video from the beginning, we said that it advocates basically for breaking apart of families and female chaos. Women empowerment is something different. Women empowerment still embraces the femininity of females. That's why earlier in the chat we made an example with I said the wealthiest Black woman in the world, and what did she say? She made a statement. She was from Nigeria actually, and she said she still enjoys cooking for her husband and being feminine even with all her billions. This doesn't make her less than. It makes her what she loves to do. For instance, myself, I love baking and I love just being in the kitchen. But a feminist will come and tell me that is wrong. Yet I express my creativity in this way, amongst many other ways. Yet, I actually have a master's degree, but I'm not defined by a master's degree. So the other thing is that you mentioned FGM. FGM, female genital mutilation, is from Arabs. It's not from Africans. So sadly, yes, a lot of Africans obviously did inherit that culture from the Arabs. But again, that was not something that came from African men, which is what you were basically saying. When you mentioned why is there still FGM in the different cultures in Africa? And then also, there is a reason why women, they basically break down when they are made to go to war, for instance, because biologically, a woman is not designed to be what a man is, to fight like a man. That's why even when you have the female warriors in history, first of all, there were a few. Second of all, they were trained by men and they enjoyed that. Third of all, they did a lot of certain rituals to just make them have more testosterone, because women also have testosterone, but it's at a small level. And actually, Black women have the most estrogen. It was proven biologically, white women actually have the most testosterone. And that goes back to the feminist agenda, which was their agenda. But today in the Western world, the Black woman is the face of that. And that's wrong, because they make her seem like, that violent type of aggressive type of person. Yet her fight is probably something different. It's not actually rooted in the feminism of the whites, the feminism that the Western culture created. Because remember, from a homosexual history, and I don't want to offend anyone, but whites have a homosexual history. If you listen to one of my favorite speakers from Uganda, I know he's controversial, but he's my hero personally, Dr. Martin Sampa. He breaks this down very well. The popular video from Uganda, the pastor. He always says, for us, homosexuality is a human vice. For Europeans, it's a human right. So what does that mean? Feminism was basically rooted in the homosexual culture of whites, where they were fighting the man, because do you know the men preferred boy lovers instead of the women? And that's where you have the island of Lesbos. I think it still exists in Greece today, because women then decided, we are then going to stick together and we don't need men. That's where this thing comes from, you see. We must know history when we understand these things. African culture does not have this. Some people today, like you have the artist Jadena talking nonsense, they are trying to change the narrative. But we know that homosexual thoughts.
They have an agenda. They have an agenda.
Yes.
They need to make. They're after money.
Him,
Chiminanda.
They're there to make. They just want to make money. That's all.
Yeah.
That's it. And you mentioned her. By the way, she is known as a very big agent. Do you know, I have a lot of Nigerian friends, women, who don't even like her. She is a very big agent, and she's well known. That's why anyone they push in the forefront is not actually really for your own good. That's why they're in the forefront.
I'm sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you. I heard you say, what part of East Africa are you from?
Oh, I live in Rwanda, and then my mother, she has roots in Eritrea. Then one of her her one parent is actually Nubian, because just on the border of Sudan and Eritrea, borders is nothing to us. It's like the same thing. And then my father, he's Kenyan and Swati.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, I just got back from Tanzania. Anyway, what I was gonna say is.
Real quick, Stace and Lumani, I'm gonna let you. And Virtue Grace, are you still there? Virtue Grace, I'll let Virtue Grace say something. They're gonna close out because I got another show.
Okay.
So Lumani, go ahead.
No problem.
And then Virtue Grace, and then I gotta close out.
Yes. So basically, that's all I was saying. All we are saying is that it goes against African spirituality in the most natural form. And we are saying embrace being a woman, because there's power in that. There's power in your femininity. It doesn't matter if you're a CEO, a lawyer, or a housewife. You see, you are making it as though women must only just go back to being in the house. Yet, why can't she not have a choice depending on what's between her and her husband, the agreement or her life? Because in African society, there's a choice. I brought up statistics and I said, even in Rwanda, they have the highest representation of females in the parliament. Does America have a female president today? No. But you make it like the Western society is this model of society when we know it's a lot of chaos. And then lastly, just wanted to mention, you said your grandmother or so, I can't remember, owns some farms and so. And, you were then saying, even with the cooking and whatnot, but you looked down on when you said women, shouldn't just be there sewing and whatnot. Do you know this type of creative work, like sewing and all these artwork? Women in the rural areas have been able to make a lot of money.
Lumani, real quick, I'm so sorry. Since you brought that up.
Yes.
Africa has the highest percentage of women entrepreneurs on this planet.
Yes.
And I can look that up. And that's a fact.
I have to. Can I clear something up real quick? I don't want to kill her.
All right, listen,
First of all, I'm not just real quick.
Brother, you got 2 minutes.
Okay, no. I'm not going to be long-winded. First of all, I'm not out here saying I'm an agent to bring homosexuality to. That's a boost. I'm not even going that far. I'm not trying to say that I think women should be masculine, or I think women should try to look like men or hate men. I'm not saying any of that. My whole point was based off of my definition of feminism. When I talk to other people, they seem to share the same definition of feminism. It's just about women having more rights, more opportunities, breaking down systematic barriers for women to achieve what they want to achieve, and for women to not be judged for that. Because I do know a lot of women who are very feminine, but they feel like, because they want to achieve or whatever, people look down on them. So that's all I'm talking about. And then I also stated, I'm about to end real quick. And then I also stated that in the beginning, again, just to clear my name a little bit, I do know that there is. I knew a girl that was an extreme feminist that would say that men are inferior to women, and would say all kinds of what I would deem radical things. I'm not in support of those kind of statements. I'm not going to be out here. Realistically, you can't expect society to advance if you exclude men. We are the ones who build the physical infrastructure. You know what I'm saying? So we build the institutions. We're the ones who are the builders on this earth. So you can't say that. I'm not going to be out here saying that I don't think we need men, or I support any woman that says that. But I am, I'm not, at the end of the day, I feel like women should have more rights than what they have. And I feel like that stigma of women who want to achieve, who want to go higher, there shouldn't be that kind of stigma within our culture, within our society. That's all I'm saying.
All right. Well, feminism does actually compete with men. It's an unhealthy relationship.
No. I'm not in support of that. The feminism I know, again, there's all these different type of definitions. How I define feminism is just being for women's rights and upliftment, just for promoting and uplifting women and giving them those policies and institutional whatever that help them achieve what they want to achieve if they want to. Again, that's what I'm saying, and that's how I defined it. And whenever I listen to people like her, I don't know who that was, whatever.
Who did that shit? God damn it! Don't be doing that on my show.
Yeah.
Only I do that on my show. All right, go ahead.
About Chimamanda being an agent, all that, I don't know about all that. I'm just talking about her lectures I see on the internet and what she says. That's where I'm coming from with that.
All right, brother. Yeah.
All right. So I'm good.
Okay.
Just have to say that real quick.
All right, Lumani, you got like a minute. I'm sorry. And then
no problem. Okay, all I want to say is, from the beginning of the show, we defined why feminism was destructive, and we said that it came from the European culture, and we already said that even African patriarchy is balanced. That's why your own grandmother could be a farmer. That's why I have my own grandmother who owns land, because my grandfather passed away, but yet who helps her with the land. It's her eldest son. Not because she has no rights. It's only because it's for her protection, so that as an elderly, she's not taken advantage of. So you, in the beginning, I remember, you were placing the black men like they're these crazy, evil dictators, and that's why we went back to
that's
European
false.
culture.
That's false. I
You
didn't say
understand?
that.
Because you
I
said
didn't say that.
you said the way you said it. You said the Nigerian women, the way they have no
The
rights,
way
the way
I
they are
said it, I
so
didn't say that.
oppressed,
You're
the way
referring.
they are so, But anyway, we won't go back there. Just my last point. All I want to say is that at the end of the day, feminism has nothing to do with women empowerment. Women empowerment is another different story. And African culture as a balance, it was always balanced, was always harmonious, including African spirituality. We had women empowerment. That's why even women in the villages are able to sell the artwork, the placemats, anything. They could be entrepreneurs. They're the most in the markets when you get organic fruits. They're from grassroots to top. They are in charge of their destinies, but they're still feminine, they're still good wives, and they still are good there for their children, whatever they decide. So that's been the point. And I think I've made my points. And thank you, everybody, for listening, as always. And thank you, Dynast, for giving me this platform.
Oh, no problem. Lumani, anytime, Lumani, anytime you want to come on. And whoever farted, God, don't you ever do that again on my show. Whoever did that.
No, I've been on mute, so
Thank you.
yeah.
Farted on the show. God, don't you pass. Go be passing.
I think it's Kenneth. That's why his face is like that.
No, it's not me.
Kitty, you fart.
Who
Not
farted?
me.
Oh, was you okay?
No.
Wow.
Virtue Grace, go ahead. Go ahead, Virtue Grace. Go ahead.
Crazy.
Okay. Thank you, Lulu. I appreciate all you've said. Actually, I align with your perspective as well. I came on the show really to support the fact that feminism is not African, and the fact that women in Nigeria have rights to own properties and to live up to their full potentials. And I still stand by that. Now, I just want to add that in Africa, we recognize and respect the authority of men as the head of our communities and families as a nuclear unit. And we do that because it helps to achieve order in society, and it helps us to progress in the most sane way. So we don't intend to change that by allowing Western ideas of feminism to take away that which we so much cherish. Now, to talking about opportunities and the right to own properties, if you look back at history and what we've had over time, African women have, for the longest time, been influential in society.
Virtue Grace. Hello? Virtue Grace. Virtue Grace. I think we lost her. But guys, what we'll do, we'll go ahead and close out. Me and Kyla are about to rise up in about 30 minutes. But everyone, thank you so much for joining. Guys, Virtue Grace has a YouTube page. Make sure you go to Virtue Grace's YouTube page. Okay, make sure you go to her YouTube page. All right, Virtue Grace, everyone. Make sure you go to the YouTube page. But everyone, thank you so much for joining us. Make sure you go to search for Uhuru on Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, and Facebook. Be back here. Be back here in about. We're gonna start in 30 minutes. It's scheduled for 8, but we're gonna start in 30 minutes around 8:10. So make sure you guys get back here about 8:10. Me and Kyla, we're about to rise up. We're about to rise up. Me and Kyla. So until next time, family. That is Samir. Search for Uhuru. Peace.